started following you on social media recently, but I've noticed how you, like, the way that you present yourself and what you do, you know, and for those, now that we're rolling, hey.
Hi.
That's a nice little segue.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've been watching you and looking at, you know, the way that you present yourself, and I'm like, this is the dose that I need to jump this podcast back off the right way.
Oh, thank you.
So with that, tell me a little bit, you know, who are you?
Okay.
What's your business? What's the business that you're starting? Like, where'd you come from? Like, kind of give me the story of Ashley.
Okay. Well, my name is Ashley Miller, and I have been through a little bit of an interesting journey, I guess.
Okay.
I never actually intended to be where I'm at now. So my dream was to do exercise science and to be an athletic trainer and to kind of be in the world of sports.
Yeah.
And then I went to Bloomsburg, started doing that, played field hockey on a scholarship, was really involved. And then someone that was close to me killed themselves, and I was 19 at the time. So I just completely... That was like a pivotal moment in my life. That was like one of those moments where you are someone before that happens and you're a different person after it happens.
Absolutely.
And it was the day after his funeral. I just walked into the advisors, said I'm done. I dropped all my classes, and I said I need to do something that's going to be involved in drug and alcohol counseling. So whatever that means, please figure it out.
Yeah.
I'll stay an extra semester, an extra year if I have to, but that's what I'm going to do. So she helped me figure that out, and I did. I went into communication studies, psychology, paired those two things together. Had to stay an extra semester, but I did.
Yeah.
And then that's really what started me on this journey, and it started me on a journey within myself and created a journey professionally. So
Wow.
And my life coaching profession now is my own because I did start working in the field. I was working in drug and alcohol inpatient, and I'm so excited about it.
Yeah.
You know, finished my career at Bloomsburg, got my undergrad, then went and got my master's at Shippensburg in mental health counseling, and it was so much work.
Yeah.
I was so excited about it and thought I was going to change the whole world and change the system and make a big difference, and I got in the system and it was garbage. So I couldn't stomach it.
Yeah.
It was destroying me. Not just, it was depressing watching the people in it not get well, but it was actually eroding me as a person.
Sure.
I could not do it. So that became what moved me to start this. I took a break. You know, I got really sick with Lyme's disease from all the stress. Like everything just got... My body was shutting down because like I wasn't where I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I was so stubborn. I'm very stubborn.
Yeah.
So I wasn't taking the signs. You know, I wasn't open to changing.
Interesting. So do you think, was your body kind of telling you like, hey, you need to do something, you need to do something different. This environment's not for you.
Yeah.
So what was it about drug? I mean, you don't have to go too deep into this, but what was it? Was it just the corporatization of like, of counseling people?
I do not mind going deep into it if you want me to.
Yeah, keep talking.
No,
I'm
you're
just
fine.
checking to make sure this thing.
I know. I was wondering how the angle of everything.
Oh, the angle looks great.
Okay.
I was just making sure I was turning on my.
Have you ever done a podcast and thought it was recording and not had it recorded?
My first one.
Okay, because I was actually, this is the kind of stuff I do when I try to do videos for myself. So I was literally sitting here thinking like, oh my God, I would have to check this thing so many times.
My first one. My first one. We were like 18 minutes into it.
Yeah.
And I forgot to hit record. And I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. We had to start over.
Yep. No, I know.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But I also want to check to make sure my airplane mode was on too. So in case I get a phone call that comes in.
I've also done all these things as well. So I get it.
But we can cut all this out. So that's good. But yeah, so is it the corporatization of, you know, like working in the drug? Because that's what I was kind of picking up is like,
I have a lot of issues with it. It's a combination of a lot of things. It was much more corporate run. It was run like a human farm.
Sure.
It was, you know, who has good insurance, who doesn't. And that was basically the first thing that you looked at.
Yeah.
It wasn't who needs the most help.
Yep.
Who is going to die the fastest if they're not here. It was who has good insurance, how much money can we get. Now this person has to stay. They would make people stay in the inpatient facility that had good insurance. They would keep them, even if, you know, maybe I felt like that wasn't justified and they were upset or they had a job that they were going to lose or, you know, they're like, well, you know, it's addiction. You gotta sacrifice. And I'm like, oh, this is actually, you're destroying things though, based on how much profit you can make.
Yeah.
And it's actually not justified. Someone that needed to be there, perhaps much longer than somebody else, I can handle arguing with someone about that because
Sure.
it's for their well-being.
Right.
But I could not stomach sitting in front of someone, sometimes it was 60 years old, and telling them that perhaps they're going to miss their grandchild's graduation because it's really important you stay an extra 2 days. It's like, it's not.
Yeah.
That person wasn't that person that needed that higher level of care.
Right.
So it was just became a profit-making industry. They were human beings, and they weren't being treated as human beings. They were being treated as they were cash cows. So I didn't know that was as prevalent.
Yeah, you didn't know that
No.
going into it.
They don't tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they don't know or they don't, whatever, but in grad school, it's not like they prepare you
Sure.
for the ugly parts.
Well, yeah, if they did tell you, everyone would probably run for the hills. They'd be like, no, I don't want to be a part of that. And
yeah, but some people are okay with it.
Yeah.
And that's the other sick part. So then I got in there and started like asking questions.
Yeah.
And like, what's going on here? Why is this happening?
Yeah.
Do you have a problem with this? Are you bothered by this? Like, how do you handle this? And everyone's kind of like, I don't know, I can't take it home with you. Got to clock in and clock out. I'm like, oof. I don't know, man.
I know I'm too much of an empath
Yeah,
for that.
same. Yeah.
For that. It's I hold other people's emotions.
Exactly.
And yeah, and then to do that, knowing that the end goal is not helping helping people, but turning the most profits. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, businesses have to make a profit, but like it has to be people before profit.
Right, and there's enough drug addicts. Like there's so many people. There's a waiting list,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, what is going on? You can actually make the business run and be very successful and still have integrity.
Right.
And I just didn't. I gave it a lot of tries. I've tried at different places.
Yeah.
Gave it opportunities to show me that there was any remorse or any integrity in anything, and there wasn't. And I tried multiple avenues, multiple places, and everywhere I went, I was kind of met with the same level of corruption.
Right.
And I am not comfortable with it. So it was just, that's kind of like what I described in my One Welcome video when I was making, like, why am I doing this? I made a video to explain just for me, and then I ended up using it. Like, why am I doing this? And it's because I've realized I get sick when I'm in a sick system.
Yeah.
And I have to learn to sometimes disengage from that sick system and make my own.
Yeah.
And it's scary, but it's the only chance I have either. Like, everyone who is empathetic and is a good person and does have morals and character, you have to find those people and kind of stick together.
Absolutely.
And build your own thing.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I shamed myself for not being able to thrive in the system.
Sure.
And then I realized I was setting a horrible example for all my clients who were broken by systems.
Yeah.
They were trapped by systems. They were in, circular probation systems, drug testing that interfered with their jobs, aftercare that they had to follow for probation that was interfering with their home lives. Like, they were constricted and trapped by systems, and I was living the same thing, but it was a different system. And I had to be there, and they were knowing that I was in a system, and I had to say, no, you got to make it work. This is the system. You got to do it. And it was a mess on both ends because I didn't feel right saying that had to be their aftercare recommendation. That wasn't healthy for them, wasn't conducive to them moving forward with their life. And I was in a system too. So I was like, what example am I setting?
Yeah.
Because I'm not happy.
None of you can change anything now.
No.
Like
No.
Man.
So I thought the best way to change a system was to infiltrate it.
Sure.
Was to get in.
Yeah.
And I not wasted a lot of my life and time, but I used a lot
Sure.
of my life and
Yeah,
time.
poured a lot of your emotional energy into that, and I mean,
It wasn't
never get it back.
No, and it wasn't the path, and that's okay. I'm hoping I was given a journey that I've been given for a reason. And I was brave enough to leave it, and that's great. But I am, I struggle a lot with anger and bitterness of all the time and energy and like the dream I was sold and all those things because it wasn't, for me, it wasn't real.
Yeah.
It wasn't there. So I stopped shaming myself.
I mean,
and
that's as good of an origin story as I can imagine, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, there's like an adage in business that's always start with why.
Yeah.
Right? Your why needs to be your first piece because a lot of people skip just to the how. And they're just like, well, I worked for this drug and alcohol counseling service and they made a ton of money, so I can just go make a ton of money. And it's like, no. Why don't you're starting with the how, right? The ton of money is an effect of having a solid why and having a solid plan that helps people. So that's about as good of an origin story as I can imagine.
Yeah.
To literally be getting sick because your body is rejecting all of like
Yeah.
the anxiety and the stress that comes with trying to fit your square peg in a round hole, you know, like.
Yeah. And
'Cause
I'm
that's-
sensitive, like you said too. So like if you're empathetic and
Yeah.
you're in an environment that is degrading to your sole purpose and it's not moving in the right direction, you will get signs. Your body's going to try to communicate,
Yeah.
and when you don't listen,
Yep.
I mean, it made me listen. It
Yeah.
got me to a point where I was just so low and so ill and so miserable that I really had to reboot my whole life. So
Yeah.
I did. I mean, it took me years to get better, and then I had to look at, you know, what do I want to re-enter now?
Yeah.
Because I can't go back into that system and expect me to be different or the system to be different or the outcome for other people to be different. So I held my ground, and I've struggled financially terribly
Sure.
for the last 5 years, really, really badly. And, you know, there was days where I was like, am I doing the right thing? Because, you know, I'm stressed now because I can't afford things that I once could.
Sure.
But I've stuck with my decision because to me, I would rather struggle for a purpose than be comfortable for corruption. I mean, I just can't.
Man.
So, but it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, when other people, you aren't seeing a lot of other people doing the same thing.
Right.
It gets tiresome.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, that's the lonely hill that
right.
we all as entrepreneurs stand on. Right. And that's why like it's important to have a support system that can resonate like, hey, no, you are doing the right thing.
Right.
Like, and you know, it's something that you can work for years and years and
Right.
years and never see the
Right.
the outcomes of it, but all of a suddenly you're an overnight success, but everybody misses that 10 years of
Yeah.
shit that you ate
Yep.
to get there.
It's hard. I mean, and like the systems need to be there. Like there is a great purpose for inpatient drug and there's
Sure.
a great purpose. It's not the purpose that's the problem. It's who's running it, why they're running it, like you said.
Right.
What's the why?
Yeah.
Is it financial gain or is it to actually help people? So I struggle because I wanted to be in it because
Yeah.
the people there need that help so badly and I loved helping them.
Yeah.
But when you can't authentically help them in a way that's going to authentically help them be themselves, I had to leave it, build something else, and just hope and pray the best, like for what's going on in that system. Because
Right.
there are people that need it. It's not like it's a useless thing. It's just so degrading to watch how it's run, you know? So
Yeah.
there's great counselors in the places.
Absolutely, yeah.
But
yeah, I
it's
mean,
just-
you can't crucify the people
Right.
because of the cause
Right.
that they're just working.
Yep.
You know, they're just trying to make a means to an
Yep.
end, just like we all are.
Yeah, I
you
just
know?
wish there was more people that would kind of stand up and like
Yeah.
ask questions
Yeah.
and hold their ground or be willing to leave. I mean, if everyone was willing to leave, they wouldn't have anybody to work.
Sure.
Unless there was a good purpose.
Sure.
So I struggle with it, but I kind of disengage and just try to remember I'm doing my part, I'm doing what I can. And then I would love to go and like as I grow, I would love to be able to do more things and
Yeah.
expand or go into those places and talk. Or
Sure.
just anything.
Yeah, work as
but-
a consultant or
Yeah.
something into there, but
Yeah.
for now you're completely removed, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
Yes.
completely removed. How long ago was that you left and decided?
6 years ago?
6 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you decide to make the jump to start your own? Like take me through the
Okay, yeah.
process of then just, starting your own business.
My company is just a little bit over a year old.
Okay.
So it's still really new.
Yeah.
So I launched it on the day, I was his suicide anniversary, so it was last September.
Okay.
Yeah, not this current one. It was the last September
Got it.
11th.
Okay.
So I kind of wanted to do it on a day that meant something
Sure.
too.
Absolutely.
Just energetically.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when I launched it. And it's just been a process of figuring out who I am. I had to start there. I had to find my truth, who I was, what I believed my destiny was
Right.
for myself. And that took work for me to do. So I did disengage for a while and really reset myself. And then I realized what my purpose was and what I wanted to do, what I believed in. And then I had to look at it through a business sense of like, okay, well then how can I translate that?
How do you make this into a
yeah.
business?
And the idea that I came up with was really because whenever I got back home from like all the Lyme treatment and all that stuff, I was just so broken down, physically weak. I looked weak.
Yeah.
I felt like I had just lost everything that made me who I was. I was all into sports. I was strong. I was healthy looking. And like I had just looked like a completely different version of myself. And And I didn't know what to do. So I just asked the school if I could volunteer.
Yeah.
I said, can I come back and just help middle school?
Yeah.
I don't know how healthy I'll be.
Sure.
I'm not really reliable for a lot, but I'll come and help.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, we'd love to have you. That's great. So I
Yeah.
started helping. And then they were like, do you want to coach? Can you coach? I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So I started coaching 7th grade. Then I coached 8th grade. And then they wanted me to follow them to high school. I was like, all right. So I followed them to high school.
Okay.
So I've been with these kids for so long. And I think just getting into that coach's role, even by accident,
Yeah.
in an athletic sense, reminded me, wow, like this is who I am.
Yeah.
I want to be somebody that can guide someone. I don't want the power. I don't want the name. I don't want the title. I don't
Yeah.
want the authority
Yeah.
image of a counselor or a medical professional
Yeah.
or somebody who's going to diagnose people, that's going to, just label them in any way.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to work with people in a way that they present to me what they want to work on, and then I'm able to do that.
Right.
And that's more of a coach.
Yeah.
So,
Then your players are the notoriety.
yeah. So
The people that you help are your notoriety.
Yeah, I was like, this is interesting. If I could do what I'm doing on the sidelines for these kids,
Yeah.
in a business sense, like this is actually what I want.
Yeah.
So coaching those kids, like really just rebirthed me in a way,
Nice.
because I was so fulfilled
Yeah.
at helping them do something athletically, because sports really saved my life and made me who I am.
Yeah.
And then I could also work with them with like, my boyfriend dumped me, my home life's a mess, I can't deal with school, and I'm like, all right, like what's going on?
Yeah.
So like I spent a lot of time,
Yeah.
and that's when I was like, wow, mental health can be
Yeah.
a coaching thing. It can be a powerful relationship with somebody that's helpful. It doesn't have to be, hey, I'm a counselor behind, the DSM and diagnostic stuff and
Yeah.
a desk and all these things. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to do that.
It can be a true interpersonal
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
So, oh, wow, there's so many ways that I feel like I could take this right now. Like, so you're still actively coaching?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what age ranges do you coach?
Whew. Well, we started with the kids. They were in 7th grade.
Okay.
So they were, how old are kids in 7th grade? I don't even know.
13?
Cut that out.
14?
I don't know. I think they were like 11, 12 maybe.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that and then to 18.
Okay,
So,
wow. So you're
I'm
coaching.
the high school coach now. Yeah, the
Okay.
JV high school coach.
Okay.
So I have been working with those same girls since they never knew what field hockey was. So I
Yeah.
got to watch them pick up their stick for the first time.
How cool.
It has been the most powerful experience I've ever had. Like,
How cool.
It's insane to watch them grow from little kids with braces
Yeah.
to now they're looking at colleges,
Yeah.
and I get to be a part of that. Or
Yeah.
they're getting boyfriends, or they're going to proms, and I'm like, whoa, getting
Sure,
their
you're seeing
driver's
these kids
license.
grow up like
Yeah.
in the most formidable parts of
Right.
life.
So like it's just been so powerful. This will be my 6th year coaching
Nice.
the kids. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What kind of can you think of any things that you kind of take from your coaching, from coaching the girls, to how can you do you apply the same principles that you use to coach
A lot.
your kids that you use to
Yes.
maybe coach a business owner or
Yes.
to coach anybody else? Can you develop on that a little bit?
I think the biggest theme that I have seen across the board with the kids that I coach athletically and my clients that I coach with life coaching is there's so much self-criticism.
Yeah.
Like human beings, I didn't realize, honestly, until I started doing the coaching thing, how self-criticism and your inner dialogue
Oh yeah.
affects people so badly physically on a field or mentally within life.
Right.
And that's something that's everywhere. And seeing it within the kids and then seeing it within adults that I work with life coaching, I'm like, there's something going on here that we have to work on as a society.
Yeah.
And be more aware of how many people feel horribly about themselves.
There's a pandemic of depression
Yeah.
and inner self and negative self-talk going on.
Yeah. And the other theme I think that is most prominent that I really try to tap into everywhere is this. I think truth is important,
Yeah.
really. I think knowing your truth,
Yeah.
but then also kind of being tapped into a universal truth. Just being able to see the truth when it's in front of your face.
Sure.
And I feel like so many people have gotten accustomed to having a veil that they're lost.
Right.
They don't really know. Like if someone tells them something that might not feel right all the way, they just go with whatever the mass will say.
Sure.
Like the kids in school with peer pressure, or
Yeah.
like whatever, and adults as well. People struggle with being able to have a feeling go through them and be like, that's not right for me. That's not true.
Yeah.
So I really want people to be able to access truth. And in order to do that, we have to detox all of the self-talk, all the dialogues that you've believed that might not be true.
Yeah.
Society, expectations, standards, programming, conditioning. There's so many things that kind of like get embedded into who we are. And I think my biggest thing is working to pull those false things away and to just let them step into who they are. And that works with kids, and it works with the people that I life coach. It's powerful to see how we're all actually pretty similar.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we take all the bullshit down and we take down all the guards that we put up and the masks that we wear, you know, because that's something like that's been a recurring theme in this podcast, and everything I talk about is masks.
Yes.
Right? Like, you have a family mask, you have a business mask, you have a personal mask, you have a friend mask, you have, and we learn these things throughout our lives where we're adapting to who we're around versus being true to ourselves.
Right.
So with your coaching clients, that's like, is that step one to kind of break down, let's lose these, like, shed that outer layer of the onion, so to speak?
It takes even more steps to even get to that, but that's my main goal. But it actually takes, it's like a fine art of dancing around to... They have to be able to identify things that are causing disharmony.
Right.
And then we look at that. And I might have an idea of why that's happening, but I let people come to their own conclusion, because I think that's important as well. I think that's why I'm kind of doing what I'm doing. It's a lot of the times with counseling, they wanted you to give answers. They wanted you to provide information, packets, you know, activities, things that were very strict and programmed one size fits all. Yeah. And I'm very much the opposite way. I won't tell somebody what their answers are. I won't tell them what their truth is. Like, I want them to,
you have to lead
find
them.
it.
Yeah, you have to lead them there.
And I want to discover it together. So I try to remain curious. I mean, that's really the biggest thing. Instead of in a position of authority, I try to be curious. Like, why is that happening?
Yeah, you're working together to find these answers. It's not just me sitting down and saying, hey, you know, if you worked out more in the morning, you'd feel a lot better. It's like, you know, but you can't just give somebody the answers, and that's you have to lead them there.
Right, and it doesn't work.
No transformation happens unless it's you know, self-discovered. Yeah, self-discovered and internal.
Right. I want us all to be moving in a direction where things are more intrinsically motivated.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know who I am. I want to be a better person. I want to be happy. I want to make a difference. Like, things like that, instead of, well, I should do this, and, well, it makes sense to do this, and, well, I'm here, so I do this now. This is what I am. And no, I want there to be so much more authenticity and passion and empathy for everyone.
Man.
Yeah.
This is powerful. This is powerful stuff.
I love talking about this stuff. I don't get to talk about it a lot. No, I'm realizing that. That's why podcasts are so fun. I don't really get to talk about it.
We can go as deep. I mean, this is the great thing about a podcast is we can go deep. It's not just about, and this is what I want to come through in this is, I want you to come here and get some notoriety from, you know, maybe get some clients, right? I want all of us to elevate ourselves, but to be able to tell the story so that people know that, like, I'm trying to think of who's a large corporate, like, entity that would go against you as a small
like
business.
like a drug and alcohol.
Yeah.
Roxbury.
Okay, Roxbury.
That's in Shippensburg.
Right. So like this, and when somebody watches this, it's like, okay, if they're choosing to go between Roxbury or choosing to go between you, it's like, listen to the story, listen to the passion that you have here, and it's not just like, and that's the thing with small businesses. It's not just, this is not transactional for us.
Right.
Like, we give a shit. You know, if we put on a roof and something happens, like, my heart hurts. My anxiety flares. I put myself in a person's shoes. And literally feel their pain for them, and I'm like, okay, I have to do whatever I have to do. Like, I have to get it fixed. Like, whatever. The money doesn't matter. What matters is that, like, I gave somebody the best experience and didn't rip them off by some big company. There's always there's a story and there's true passion behind what we do. And I hope that if there's anything comes from this podcast is that people realize that putting your money into passion will give you a better return than putting your money into a better price. You know? It's something that we all fight with. You know? who was I? Yeah, I was talking to I mean, every person I've had on here has, resonated a similar thing. It's like, yeah, it's cheaper to go to Amazon, but
Yeah.
what are you supporting by going to Amazon?
Right. Yep.
And nothing against Amazon.
Right.
Like there's a place in the world for them.
Yep.
There's a place in the world for the Roxberries because, if you're only one person.
Yeah, I'm not a hospital, so that stuff I've kind of disengaged. Like that is something that if I'm not in the system, I legally can't do. So I've had to accept that too,
Sure.
which has been hard.
Yeah.
So it's like I miss that. I do miss that level of care.
Right.
But that's legally not what I'm doing. Like that does have to be done in a hospitalized setting. That's fine. So I work with people now that have been discharged that are also working. If they need to see someone that prescribes medicine, go do that.
Yep.
If you want to explore yourself on a deeper level, that's what I'm here for.
That's
like
where you
I
come
try
in.
to provide the thing that was missing in that system.
Sure.
And hope that those people get to me. But what's really hard is kind of what we were talking about before we started is this I don't know if it's a veil, glass ceiling, a wall, whatever, but it's hard to get out who you are and what you're doing because everything around you that even you're not competing with. Like I'm not even competing with Roxbury because I'm not at the hospital.
Yeah.
They're not going to give you client referrals.
No.
They're not because that's not within that system.
Yeah.
You're not within the system of medication.
Right.
Of, there are people that they get part of their business from whenever they send them to the outpatient level. It's also a systematic thing. So they're not going to encourage people to think outside the box and go to something that's not in the system.
Sure.
So they fight against you even though you're not even competing with them, which is frustrating and weird. And then people that are doing, say, like traditional mental health counseling, which is what my degree's in. I'm choosing not to do it because I think it's too constricting.
Got it.
So, but they won't give you clients either. But they could. So there's so many people that right now are in traditional therapy, not even drug and alcohol therapy, just mental health therapy.
Yeah. Me.
And it's like maybe it's not really fitting. Maybe it's not meeting all of the things that they would like to explore about themselves or not the right way.
Right.
But people won't even make those referrals for people that are like struggling. They won't be like, hey, why don't you try something different? Maybe this isn't a fit for you. There's another way.
Yeah.
They kind of just want everyone to believe that there's only that systematic way.
Right. There's only cognitive behavioral therapy is the only way to get this done.
Right. So I get frustrated with that because that's been my biggest struggle is kind of getting out who I am, what I'm doing. And then sometimes you tell people and like it just backfires because they'll end up, oh, no, we don't want people thinking about that or going that direction.
Right.
So it's like, who do you even ask to help pass your message along or pass your business along? It's hard to find the right people to trust to even do that.
Yeah, because that was going to be my next question to you was like, what's your biggest challenge in your business right now? Like what's keeping, it's literally customer acquisition. It's getting out and, I guess when you're grinding against such a rigid system with, these big companies or, people in the traditional mental health space, like, you have to grind the streets.
Yeah.
Is really like that's all you can do now.
Yes. That is definitely by far my largest challenge.
Yeah.
And it's really hard and it's really frustrating because I love doing my job and I want to focus on doing my job, but you can't because you have to spend so much time as well on marketing yourself, explaining what you are, explaining who you are, explaining what you're doing, finding the clients. And it's just a lot of stuff I wasn't guided on.
Sure.
So you have to figure it out. You have to figure out how to market yourself,
Yeah.
what things work, what things don't. It's trial and error.
Yep.
A lot of expensive mistakes. There's not cheap mistakes.
Yeah, trial and errors
when you're on your own.
Trial and errors cost money.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. So, is it social media? Is it through the mailing list? Do you mail things out? Do you go to events? Do you just try word of mouth? Do you, and I found the best thing is actually just client referrals, which is good if that's what I'm doing is working and then they're telling other people. That's been my strongest breakthrough.
Yeah.
Social media has really been challenging. That's really gotten pulled back from people. I think they are targeting people that are doing what we're doing.
Yeah, we were talking about that before. Yeah.
It's for sure getting targeted because we are doing something that is breaking out of a larger system in general. It's not just like our individual niches. We're brave enough to try to do something on our own.
Yeah.
And that's not really popular with systems. And social media is a system. So it kind of really has put a damper.
Yeah, I mean, and the social media
Yeah.
companies are among the most profitable companies in the world. Why is that? It's because everybody pays a couple cents per set of eyeballs.
Yeah, you control the whole thing.
Yeah, think about how many
Yeah.
eyeballs there are available.
Right.
Everything that goes out, someone's paying to get that in front of you, right?
Yeah.
And there's some organic stuff, but like we said before, 10% of the organic postings get seen by your followers.
Yeah.
Everything else is they're trying to just force paid ads down you.
Yeah.
You know, so that's really challenging. I'd say definitely your referral network is gonna be huge for you. Your referral network, and if you were to give a 10-second elevator pitch, what would it sound like? Do you have one? Because here's my thinking is everything what you do is so nuanced, right? There's so much context that needs to be given, right? If you sit down and talk to you, like I'm like, can I sign up to be can I sign up to be one of your clients right now because I've had a chance to talk to you and get to know you, but like how could we convince someone within 10 seconds to use Ashley Miller?
I think my biggest thing, I have to figure out how to make it into 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But I'm not a good 10-second person.
I'm sorry, I'm challenging you right now.
No, it's good. That's a good question. I really should have an answer. That's good. I guess it would be, have you felt like you have found a way to learn about yourself efficiently? And is that something you would like to do more?
Yeah.
Because that's really what I provide. It's not like a one-size-fits-all or even an individual thing. It's you learning about yourself.
Yeah.
So I think I bring in the pitch of I am someone that is able to help you learn about yourself in a way that's unconventional or
interesting.
That's innovative.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to put it.
That is my goal. So every time I go into a session or even meeting anybody, I don't have a structured, like a goal or a thing that I want out of them.
Yeah.
It's that I want them to learn about themselves.
Right.
I want them to access themselves.
Yeah.
So
I help you find you, or I help you understand you.
I try to be a vessel, really, is what it is. It's like I want to be a vessel for them to access themselves.
You're the facilitator.
Yeah. That's why my logo's a key. I think that's really, like, that's kind of something that I've really been into lately, like collecting keys and things like that, because I want it to feel like I'm handing them the keys for themselves.
Sure.
Like, they need to be able to access themselves.
They're going to start the engine. They're going to drive the car. They're going to do everything. But you're just you're getting them the keys to start the vehicle.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting way to put it.
So that's kind of what I envision.
That's smart. That's smart. I really like and I think something explaining the story of that key is going to be key for you.
Yeah. Key for me, yes. I know.
I got puns.
Yeah.
I had a question. I thought of a question and I just forgot it. Give me a second. Where was it?
We were talking about the elevator pitch, 10-second pitch, but then there was something. Oh, about your business coach?
Yeah, that my business coach had challenged me for that same question, and I was like, shit.
Yeah.
Like, I've been at this for 9 years and I still don't have one.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing is you have to be able to grab people quickly. And that's where I wonder about a business like yours is there's, like I said, there's so much nuance that it's like, how do you quickly explain what it is you do without having to sit down with, for a 2-hour podcast or something.
You're right. It would basically, the overall theme would be I help people learn about themselves. Yeah. That's really, I guess, what it would be if it was summarized into something like that.
Nice.
I had my little quote. I like to write, too. I write poetry in my other non-existent spare time. But I think the quote that I came up with the business was, you may have temporarily forgotten who you are, but you've known all along. Your destiny is yours and you hold the key. So that was kind of what I was writing for that. Like, you have forgotten who you are. It's not you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
I think that people know who they are.
Yeah.
I think we come into this world and we do that. We come in with a purpose, like an imprint you are supposed to leave.
Right.
It's your destiny. Like, there's something that I think you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I think we have that gut feeling inside of us always, all the time. And then as you go through life, maybe you're not following that path the way you should.
You get knocked off of it.
Right.
However many times.
Well, we get so toxic. Like, we get toxed out with all the messages, too, that we're, like, with society, that we're exposed to with our culture. And our purpose isn't something that you don't see commercials on TV.
Yeah.
You don't see that in music as much. I see it in some artists, which are the ones I try to support. But there's not a lot of, like, what's your destiny? What's your sole purpose in life? What's your legacy?
Yeah.
Like those questions, I think, are questions that should be being asked at such a more profound rate than what's happening.
Yeah.
So it's not, I don't hear that question.
No.
I was never asked that question.
I was never asked that question until a couple years,
Yeah.
maybe 6 months ago.
No. It's what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Like how much money do you want to make? Where do you want to live? It's like all these materialized questions, really. And then everyone does that.
Yeah.
And that's where they go. And then throughout life, you get more miserable. You feel ill, or you don't feel happy, and you feel discontent, or just like sad and disconnected from yourself and other people. And that's where I want to come in and identify where's that disharmony coming from. Because to me, I've learned for myself personally, that was being experienced when I wasn't on my path. And a lot of the times it's hard to get back on the path because you have to sever something.
Yeah.
Usually you have to sacrifice something to get back onto that path. But I mean, that's been my goal with this, is to help people remember, because I want to give them the power.
Sure.
I don't want to have it be like, we got to figure out who you are. No, I think they know.
Yeah.
And I think they need to find that and tell me who they are.
Right.
And start there.
Yeah.
You know?
Because, I mean, think about the twisting lives that we lead, even as like children. Like I have 2 children that are in school, and like I'm sitting here thinking as you're talking, it's like from the time you're in kindergarten, right? You're 5 years old. They're like, well, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Right. So again, it's you're tying your self-worth to what you do, what you make, versus what you feel and what kind of impact you make. Right. So it's almost like we all start like.
Yes.
We all start with the wrong programming.
Yes.
You know?
That's my whole point.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. Man, how do you undo all of that?
See, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There is such a market for this.
Yeah.
There is. It's just me trying to even get people sometimes awake enough to realize that that's even happening.
Sure.
Has been a struggle.
That's a good way to put it. Getting awake enough to realize that you're sacrificing yourself.
Right.
And you don't even know it.
Yeah. And it's not your fault. I mean, that you've been following the program. And I did it too.
Yeah.
And that's why I ended up the way that I was. And I had to really look at myself in the mirror and accept some hard truths of I am miserable.
Yeah.
So now what do I want to do?
Yeah.
Do I want to self-medicate? Do I want to try to go to doctors and have them medicate the misery? Do I want to try to just ignore the misery? Do I want to distract myself from the misery, accept the misery? Or do I want to really do some hard things and disassemble my life and find happiness? And it cost me everything material, you know, to do that.
Yeah.
But to me, that I got to a point where when you're like physically ill, to a point where you realize what's important.
Sure. Yeah.
It's
like hitting that metaphorical like rock bottom, you
yeah.
know, where your body's literally like, we can't do this
and
anymore.
you're looking at yourself and you're like, what have I done so far
Yeah.
with my life? If I died today, would I have fulfilled a purpose that I'm proud of? And my answer was no.
Yeah.
And that really gutted me. And going through that internal spiritual existential evolution at the same time as trying to heal physically, it was one of the most torturous but also powerful times of my life.
Sure.
To try to piece myself back together and be like, no, I need to find my purpose and I need to do that. And whatever that costs me, I'm going to have to sacrifice. So that's kind of what I had to do the work myself. So that's kind of like why I want to do this as well, is I'm not asking people to do anything I haven't done. And I think that's why I have confidence in doing it.
Sure.
Is because I know it's real.
Yeah.
I know it works. I know that path.
Yeah.
And I believe in that path. So I can now confidently do it instead of me just like, oh, here's a packet. I don't know.
No.
It's all bullshit, but do it. Like, it's like that's not.
You've seen this work.
Yeah,
You've
I
seen
know
this
it's
work.
true.
You've put in the work. You know what, you know how much work it takes. Man.
Yeah. So that's what I try to do with the kids. So I'm really happy right now, like with what I have in my life. I do have to figure out how to better balance it because the struggle has been for me is like being empathetic again, is I do get very invested and that takes away from, you know, some of the time I have for myself or my significant others or whatever, people in my life. So I'm trying to find the balance of it. But right now I'm in a place where professionally I'm happy with everything because I have access to the younger generation and people that I'm working with life coaching. So when I work with the kids with sports, with the field hockey coaching, I get to see them where they have a chance. like they have a chance to do something different instead of having to be 30, 40, 50, whatever, and work backwards. You can talk to these kids and they're so smart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're so smart.
Yeah.
They're so smart and they're so much more mature than people give them credit for. So if you can talk to them at that age and be like, what do you want to do for you? Who do you want to be? What is important to you? What's your purpose with this game?
Yeah.
But then, like, why are you doing the game?
Right.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, so to actually be able to talk to them and open their minds a little bit at that age is so rewarding for me, because I feel like that if there's a chance that you could shortcut the suffering.
Yeah.
And actually just allow them to be on a path of
It's such a
truth.
formidable time in a young person's life.
Yeah.
Like, I wish somebody would have challenged me that
Same.
way, because now I'm, like you said, I'm personally going back through and trying to undo the years of knots that I've created along the way.
Yeah.
You know, of changing my path and get back to like who I am uniquely and what my why is.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's a lot harder to undo it than it is to learn it.
Exactly. And I just wish that was something that was being incorporated into younger generations, the right questions.
Yeah.
You're really good at math. You're great at this. You're a good athlete. Wonderful. What is your purpose?
Yeah.
Like, who do you feel like you would like to be as you go through life? Like, at the end of your life, what do you want to look back on? Like, things like, I just wish that there was that at the younger generation.
Yeah.
Because that would save so many people from so many things, like substance abuse, self-harm, body image issues, like bad toxic relationships, like these things that can take people off this planet start with them not following their own programming.
Sure. Yeah. The seeds are planted long ago. You know, the first time you go against your own programming.
Yeah. And it's intuition. That's the other thing that gets broken within our whole society right now, and the systems. Like, they have a gut feeling of what's right or wrong. And we break intuition by saying, no, you have to fit into the system.
Yep.
You have to go to a 9-to-5. You have to have a career. You have to have a major. You have to have like all these things. There's so much pressure on kids right now. There's so much pressure. Yeah. It's absolutely sickening how much pressure there is on them right now to have answers that they probably shouldn't have the answers to.
Right.
If they're being authentic and if they're being truthful with themselves, I don't think they should have the answers.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's almost like kids are getting asked these questions, and then they're making up the answer based off of maybe what someone wants to hear, but then that becomes their answer then, right?
And then you can't tell the difference.
Yeah, and then slowly that line gets blurred, and that's not even that was never your answer to begin with, you know.
Yeah.
It's scary.
That's
scary, and it's just it's powerful to be cognizant of that kind of thing, you know. I imagine like less than 1% of us are walking around actually thinking this way, you know, because it's, you know, life gets in the way, but it's such an important topic to go through. Like I told you, I raised my hand. I go to therapy.
I work with a therapist and a coach too. Like, you know, everyone has to do your own work, even if that's what you're doing.
Right.
If people that claim to have all the answers or be better than what they're doing drive me crazy, right? Because if I didn't believe in looking at yourself, I didn't believe in working with someone else and allowing someone else to also analyze me, maybe I'm not seeing things. Like, you can't see everything accurately by yourself.
Yeah.
So if I'm not doing the work on myself, why would I ask somebody to pay me to do work?
Sure.
I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I have to always be trying to work on myself as well.
Yeah.
And setting an example to do that, and hope that it inspires people to give themselves permission, really, to do the same thing.
Yeah, and I think having an inner circle of people, maybe a team, or just like there's you as a coach. It's so important to have a support system around you that is elevating you and supporting you. Like, I liken it to like okay, let's say Michael Jordan.
Right.
Right. Michael Jordan would never know how good he was if he was dribbling a basketball alone by himself, just like pretending to fake people out.
Right.
Like,
shadow playing basketball.
Yeah, he's just playing. If he's he's just crazy, and like he could think he's the best. He's the best person in the world, but or he's the worst basketball player in the world, right? You know, but unless you're playing with somebody that's also helping to elevate you and show you how well you're playing, you know, you never know, right? It's almost like we had these blinders up, and that's so like small business, like business owners are such a good like ideal customer for you, because all of us get locked into our like day to day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get so worried about, you know, what are our sales doing right now? How's our production doing right now? What's our cash flow like, that you forget why you started doing this in
Yes.
the first place. So I think like business owners is such a big potential for you to really target business owners.
Yeah.
You know, start there. I think that could be a really good customer pool for you.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's something that I'm realizing as well, that I didn't go into it expecting.
Mm-hmm.
So my audience for who this has been beneficial for isn't even what I thought it would be in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I've worked with some business owners and people that are in that stuff, and it's really has been rewarding because they're so busy. You know, they have a lot of the pressure on them that I do as well, that I understand it.
Yeah.
And then the way that I do it is around what works for the client. That was something that I wanted to build into my company, because I watched people lose time with their spouses, their children, their jobs, trying to get help.
Yeah.
So the help became stress.
Right.
So if the help is becoming stress, it's not help anymore. So I tried to find a way, like, okay, how can I present this now that's about them?
Yeah.
So what I do is I do a lot of different things. I do virtual things. I do Zoom if people enjoy that.
Yeah,
a lot of people have self-image. They don't want to do that, right?
Yeah.
So if you feel safer on the phone,
Yeah.
a lot of my clients just want to do phone
They
sessions.
just want to talk. Yeah.
Yep. And then I have texting. If people are too busy or they're in business meetings and they're going through a breakup, they're going through something as stressful, like, oh my gosh, like so-and-so just like, you can text me. We can do it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
I could do it in person with people that I know aren't serial killers. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So like there's been a lot of learning about like what's the best way to do it.
Right.
And I kind of provide an eclectic version of whatever works best for them.
Yeah.
But the entrepreneurs have really utilized the virtual stuff, because if you have like a long commute, right, that's wasted time.
Yeah. Right. What are you doing during those
Right.
hours in that windshield time?
Right. So that's been great. So I'm like, that's all right. You
Yeah.
don't have to take time away from your family. Like, just set it up on like where do you have a large commute?
Yeah.
So we've scheduled a lot of their sessions on, you know, when it fits into their schedules with driving, or if they have a break a day where there's like a gap of time that's not useful to them and they're at work, we can do it then.
Sure.
So I try to encourage people to build it in, and then even people that aren't entrepreneurs, like, I'm like, well, the benefit of doing it virtually is what other things do you want to do for your self-care that you're not doing?
Yeah.
That you don't trust yourself to hold yourself accountable for?
Yeah.
Like, some people need to go for walks and they don't do it on their own. Like, they like to be outdoors, but they won't really do it.
Yeah, unless somebody pushes them to do it.
You
They're
know?
like, man, yeah. They got a super nice pair of running shoes and a nice pair of hiking boots that sit in the closet.
Right. So I'm like, do it then. Like, whenever you're on your session, let's get you walking.
Yeah.
You know? Like, let's build in whatever's good for you
Yeah.
to really get you into a healthy routine.
Yeah.
So I've found that not having that solid structure of even a facility has been nice. It's like, it's allowing people to learn how to be themselves in their own life.
Yeah, yeah.
Not just with me in one specific room for an hour a week.
Yeah.
Like, I want them to be able to build a life that they're happy in.
Sure.
And grow. That's the other thing, I guess, that should fit into my elevator pitch, is I want people to be able to grow through life instead of stopping life to grow. You know, because I've struggled with that. When I got to the point that I was at, I actually had to stop my life to grow and find help and to do whatever I wanted to do to get back on my feet.
Yeah.
And I don't want everyone else to have to go through that struggle. I want people to be able to be in a bad place and be like, all right, we're going to figure it out. How is this going to fit you?
Yeah.
How can we make this fit your life now? You have kids, you have a husband, or you have a job. How do we make that work? It's going to be fine, but let's make it work for you, not me.
Yeah.
So, and I try to flip that role a lot, because a lot of the times it's always been about how the system wants you to heal,
Sure.
not how do you need to heal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, every human being is different. That's probably why the return rates of maybe, like, I don't know if that's the right terminology either, but the people who re-enter back into your programs is probably so high because, right, you're taking a bunch of square pegs and trying to fit them into a round hole.
If you're lucky, if they don't overdose in a parking lot somewhere. I mean, it's like, that's what I'm saying. I don't want that cycle of people getting told what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
It's not really what's wrong with them anyway. And then you give them answers to fix it that aren't their personal answers.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't work. Then they're shamed because it doesn't work.
Right.
Then they either die or go back to the same broken system.
Yeah.
So I don't want that. I want there to be an option, and not just for drug and alcohol, just people in general that are just struggling, and they're so tired of feeling disharmony and they don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
and to try to help them learn about possibly where that's coming from. And it starts with, like you said, like detoxing all the false programming.
Yeah.
And then they have to build their own programming that's specific to them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the flow of what happens.
Sure.
It comes in with usually disharmony, and then we look at why the disharmony is there, what programming is in place, disassemble what they want to disassemble, and then start building and assembling new programming from there.
How long would you say, and this is a loaded question too, but I'm trying to, for anyone watching this and that's like on the fence of like, how quickly can I turn things around? I mean, I know that's probably subjected to every person and their willingness to change, but like, what's an average turn time for somebody to get in and like start to learn about themselves?
I have realized it is so dependent on the person. So I'm working with one person right now that's very in tune with herself at a deep, deep level. So she noticed changes within 2 weeks. So, and it's been getting better each week.
Yeah.
And it's moving at like a completely elevated pace from a lot of people that I work with. So that's been very rewarding to see results coming that quickly with someone like that. And then with other people, I've noticed that maybe the programming's deeper.
Yeah.
That's usually what holds it back, is how deep it is and then how willing they are to uproot that.
Yeah.
So I would say about 3 months,
Okay.
like people that might be more stagnant
Yeah.
will start noticing that they're not as self-critical.
Yeah.
And then that they're not saying should as much. They're not like, well, I should be doing this and I should, then that'll start to lift.
Yeah.
And then I would say within 8 months, with that person that's a little bit firmer in their programming, within 8 months, they're starting to really make big changes.
Nice.
Yeah. And
So
then within a year, I would say even the worst case scenario, within a year, you can actually have a life that's you look back on and it's completely different than who you were a year ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say that for real transformation, if you want to look back, be like, whoa, that person that I was a year ago is not who I am today.
Yeah.
I would say the standard has been like a year.
Yeah.
Of real
That makes sense.
powerful change.
Yeah.
Like that you can physically prove to people.
Yeah.
But the internal change would start probably some people 2 weeks and some people a month, some people 3 months.
Sure.
So there's internal changes, but then I get excited over those, but then I also get really excited when life changes start happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I'm just trying to kind of put it into perspective of like, you know, this is an investment in you.
It's a journey.
This is a journey. This is a journey in you. This isn't a part-time.
No.
This isn't a part-time thing, right? Where you kind of come and go as you please. You got to be really like dedicated to like noticing that something's wrong and wanting to do something about it.
And then I have clients as well that maybe there's not something as wrong, like they're not in a dysfunctional relationship or they don't hate their job, but they aren't fulfilled.
Yep.
And I like working with those people too. That's a different journey.
Yeah.
But that's great too, because that's someone that can do it kind of at their will comfortably. They're not like desperate.
Yeah.
They're not drowning, but they're like, hey, there's more to life. I need to figure this out. I just want someone that I trust, that I can talk to be a vessel for me to access myself.
Yeah.
Like I want that space held for me once a week or once a month or whatever.
Yeah.
And they just kind of go through their own process with that.
Yeah.
And that's rewarding as well. It's just everyone's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's a great spot for, you know, any business owners that listen to this podcast is, you know, it's great to make money. It's great to, you know, employ people, but, you know, rediscovering your why every once in a while, and even checking in with your why.
Yeah.
You know, and making sure that your why is still your why.
Yeah.
Right? If you wrote a mission statement, a vision statement 15 years ago, like check in with that thing. Yeah, I think that's a really interesting thing I know for me, I'm taking free therapy from you today.
Oh no, that's fine. I'm oozing whatever I can wherever I go with this stuff that I like to talk about, because I don't get to talk about it as much. Like I said, it's really rewarding to talk about. I talk to my clients, but that's, you know, in a very structured, like it's a setting. It's not like me kind of talking about my why.
Yeah.
You know, so it's really rewarding, like you said, to find people that are doing the same thing that you're doing. They're asking themselves questions like why.
Yeah.
And that's really rewarding for me and refreshing, and something that I think I actually have to prioritize.
Yeah.
I think for myself to help get that balance and get that support system and really light the fire of my why too.
Yeah.
You know, it's really rewarding.
Yeah. You know what I think you need?
What?
I think you need a podcast.
I would love to do a podcast. I really enjoy this, honestly.
Yeah, I think you
really
need
cool.
a podcast. I mean, I'm not even sure what we're up to, but this is 100% the longest podcast so far. Yeah, by a long shot. And this is not a bad thing whatsoever. But I think you have a natural gift for for talking, and you're very clear.
Yeah.
Very concise. Like I know my brain is a 21 lane highway, right in Houston, Texas. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm maybe make some assumptions about your brain, only knowing you the little bit that I do now.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But when you're speaking about your craft here, you're very clear, you're very concise, and I think that's something like a 15-minute daily podcast. I would listen.
Really cool.
I would listen.
All right, maybe that's something because I have been thinking about it. I mean, I really enjoy this.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
And I think this helps me in a way that's different from what I'm able to do currently because my personality is kind of, I feel like a selling point, but I can't convey it, right? So that doesn't come across in business cards. That doesn't come across in ads.
Yeah.
It comes across a little bit in my word of mouth recommendations because they'd be like, she swears and she's funny, she's got tattoos, go talk to her, man, whatever. Like, it's kind of like, I'm very a casual, honest person, and I love humor as well, so I like to include that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's hard for me to convey my personality, and I think that's really what draws the right people to me.
Sure.
Is people that...
Yeah, you have to have the right kind of client. You have a very specific ideal client. I
don't need stiff. Like, some people are really stiff, and that's fine. But I mean, I really work well with people that are honest and real.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I enjoy people that are off the cuff.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Because that's really how I am, and I love being able to kind of show my personality a little bit more and try to find the right people that I could help with who I am. Because that's really a big part of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I want to authentically be myself in my life and in my business, and I want people to be able to do the same thing. So I like working with people that have a lot of personality too. It's fun.
Yeah. I'm trying to have more personality. I'm trying.
No, you do. This is awesome. This
trying.
is really, really cool.
Yeah. I think a podcast could be really powerful for you. And I'm asking some more challenging questions than what I ever, or like maybe dishing a little bit of advice. Because I'm trying to change. I feel I've learned a lot about myself over this last year, or the last 6 months since I did the last episode of this podcast. And one of them was trusting your intuition. Like, like instead of just listening to you talk, it's like, let's exchange some ideas. Let me, I'm not a perfect business owner by any means, but the people who are, the closer you are to a situation, sometimes the less you're able to help. So if you were to talk to another person who's doing life coaching, they'll be like, well, do this, and this. Right. And it's like, well, yeah, but you also might be missing the point because you're just doing the things that other life coaches taught you to do. And life coaches, you guys are all kind of just copy and pasting each other instead of blazing your own unique trail.
Exactly.
And whether a podcast is a unique trail is probably not. I'm sure a lot of people do, but like, I think a daily motivational TikTok channel, daily podcast, like a 15-minute podcast on a different subject about you, and to really get people that are interested in your business and interested in, like you said, you have to find the right kind of person, the person who's self-aware or wants to be more self-aware, not just a person that's like, well, fine.
Tell me what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me a coping skill.
Yeah.
It's like, coping skill's a Band-Aid, man. I don't really want to give you that, so.
Right.
But,
yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, so that's kind of, that is a struggle as well. Like, it is hard for me. Like, some people that do want the Band-Aids isn't my best audience. Yeah. I want people that are willing to be raw until they heal. I'm not about Band-Aids. Yeah. Like, I want people that really can look at wounds and be like, holy shit, like, how do I heal this? Like, I'm not trying to cover it up anymore. And that's really been, I think that is a good idea, the podcast, because I don't get to talk about myself, probably. Like, maybe that could be something that, like, is part of my why that maybe I could convey in a different way. Yeah. instead of trying to, like, I write a lot, but
Yeah.
people don't read anymore.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. No, everything is video.
You know, I'm really proud of my website. Do
Yeah.
people look at it? No.
No.
It drives me fucking crazy. Like, I love my website. God
Yeah.
damn it. Like, I made it for a reason.
Yeah.
It explains everything about who I am and what I'm doing, why, how.
Yeah, I read your website. Yeah, it's very in depth.
I love my website.
Yeah, you put some effort into that.
I did. I really did. I made it all myself, and I really thought that that would answer a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing that it doesn't.
Yeah.
People just don't like to read, and I have to now find a different way to convey everything that I believe in and everything that's on my website into a more commercialized way of why that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Like short form video, I think would be is a really powerful way to like get your message across and get people that are interested in your kind of like in your brand of like your brand of help.
Right.
Here, you know?
Yeah.
So let's get you. Do you have a TikTok channel or anything now?
I have a TikTok. I do not barely understand how to use it, to be honest with you.
Me neither. I'm
not crazy about it.
I'm so bad at it.
Yep, don't like it very much, but I have a TikTok.
Yeah.
I have an Instagram. I have Facebook, and I have them linked. I actually have a YouTube channel for my business.
Good.
I don't know. Like, it's not, I just don't find this stuff to be very beneficial.
Sure.
So I do it to make sure I'm relevant, but it's not really helping me. So I don't waste a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
But I do have the YouTube channel, Facebook, and Instagram linked to my website as well. So, like, that's on the bottom of the website where you can click and go to those things.
Sure.
I don't have my TikTok professionally. I could make a professional TikTok.
Yeah.
But, I mean, those are the things that I have.
Those are the things those things grow with you. You know, you don't have to start with a professional TikTok. Yeah. And I'm not an expert on I can barely understand how to make a TikTok.
I really
I'm
struggle
terrible.
with TikTok.
I suck at it.
I don't enjoy it.
I feel like an old idiot.
Yeah,
like I'm
I don't like it.
This damn phone.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Like, where did it go? Like, it posted? I'm like, great. Like, I
Yeah.
have no clue sometimes what's happening with it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to learn. It's just, it is a lot to balance.
It's totally different. You know, from, us, we grew up with like MySpaces and Zengas and like all the other things that very like prehistoric now as you're looking back at it. It's like hammer and chisel kind of shit. It's, what else was I going to ask? I just lost it.
I love that you're asking like deep questions. I actually really enjoy this because it helps you to pull what you're saying. Like, it helps you to kind of reignite what you're doing.
100%.
And I don't get asked really a lot of questions, honestly, anymore. So it's nice because I'm out of the school, like, academia environment. I enjoyed school a lot. And because it really was like an ongoing interview process for yourself. Especially grad school, they really broke you down and made you, you had to know who you were before you could help other people.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that. But I don't get asked a lot anymore. So there's probably a lot of new parts of myself, too, that are growing and expanding, or things that maybe are issues again, or new issues. And it's fun to talk to people like you that are like-minded to kind of do that on myself. It's like a real-life interview.
Here we are.
You know? I like it.
But, yeah, I mean, I've read somewhere that, the best way to learn is to teach. And the best way to, I'm not teaching, but I'm trying to learn about my own business, how to make my business better, serve people better. So it's like, by asking you questions and being a bit more engaged here, it's helping. I'm thinking about things for my own business and thinking about how I can, I don't know. I feel like we're firing on all cylinders here.
Yeah.
We're firing on all cylinders. It feels good.
I love that you're doing the intuition thing too. It makes me really happy because that's really cool because I can feel you too. Like, you're listening to what I'm saying, but you're not just anticipating what else to say.
Yeah.
And then that gives you like the access to really pull a great question if you're just listening. But a lot of people struggle with that.
Sure.
So that's really neat.
Yeah. My first couple episodes, I had a pen and a pad and I was like, okay, here's the 6 questions that I'm going to ask. And I didn't prepare shit today.
Right. That's great.
Yeah,
I'm the perfect person to not have that ready for it.
I was having a panic attack before you came in because I was like, I can't get the lights right. I don't know what I'm going to say. Like, oh my God, I'm going to puke. Like, and, but yeah, it's, you're like, we all have a certain amount of intuition. Some of us are maybe more connected to it than others, but trusting it and like trusting your gut. Yeah. Son of a bitch, is that not
right?
Like, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to do.
That's because we're taught to sever it.
Yeah.
Really.
And but it's a skill just like any other. You can learn.
Right.
Start with the little things, the little tiny steps to realize that like you got this shit.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
to surround yourself with like-minded people too is
Yeah.
so important. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm so grateful for you having me on here. Thank you.
Of course.
Because it's just every time I meet somebody that has that like-minded energy, it helps us all
Yeah.
really still shine.
Right.
You know, we need each other to do that, because otherwise you're just kind of in the dark trying to throw your light around, and it gets lonely.
Yep.
So it's really cool to find other people that are brave enough to be like, hey, let's do something authentic. Let's do something different. Let's look at things. Let's talk about things.
Yeah.
And it's really appreciated.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, and that's what I love, man. That's what I love, authenticity. I love, that's why I love small business owners, because
Right.
like every single person that sits across from me, or every business owner I talk to, like they got a fucking story.
Right.
Every single one of them have
Yeah.
come from something.
Yep.
Right. And I think we're all, miswired, and not miswired, but like undiagnosed ADHD or
Right.
something where like the 9 to 5
Or OCD, or like,
or OCD.
yeah.
There's something about all of us that want to go blaze our own trail that is intrinsically beautiful. That's like, we couldn't stand to have the blinders up
Right.
anymore, and there's no handbook for this shit. So you have to be kind
No.
of crazy to be like, I'm going to figure it out. And
Yeah, fuck it. I'm not
Yeah.
doing this anymore.
there might be
Yeah.
some kind of handbooks out there, but like, trust me, they all suck. I've tried.
Oh, yeah.
I've read all of them to try to figure out what the
No.
fuck to do next. And they're just like,
No, it's all rhetoric. Like,
Yeah.
it's all just nonsense. And I've tried to do the same thing. And the most powerful things that have helped me is people like you, finding
Mm-hmm.
like-minded people. That has helped me. It makes me feel safe, and it makes me feel like I have a community, even though I'm standing on my own.
Yeah.
And that's important,
Yeah.
especially for all of us that are starting our own thing. You have to have some type of a community, because it gets hard.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're actually doing your own thing, there's really no one to look around.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to do, like you said, what all these other life coaches are doing. I want to do what I'm doing,
Yeah.
who I am. So I have to then really stay focused on that, and
Sure.
not seek help sometimes from people the way they're doing it.
yeah,
So it's nice to have a community that you can kind of explore your own way of doing things.
community is everything.
Yeah.
It's everything. Whenever, like the analogy we said earlier, like if Michael Jordan was playing basketball by himself,
Right.
he would never have any idea if he's the worst or best basketball
Right.
player on earth. And you need that community to pick you up, because you're gonna fall down, you're gonna twist your ankle, you're gonna fall down. And like people
Right.
continue to carry you, and that's what's beautiful about small businesses, man. It's the corruption is much less. They bring it back to where you were earlier, like just less corruption.
Yep.
Right. The person that's answering the phone is directly benefiting from the money that you give that small
Right.
business, or that small business owner is literally like taking the money that you give them and like feeding a child, like
Yeah.
their child, and then they're paying school taxes, and it's going
Right.
right back into your school,
Right.
and it's paving your roads, and it's, that's what this whole thing is built on, is community. All right, not to shit on Dave's Hot Chicken, but I told you that Dave's Hot Chicken.
Dave's Hot Chicken is getting free advertisement
Yeah.
and criticism at the same time. It's so funny, though, because I think the same thing every time I drive by. I'm like, what the fuck's happening? It's new. Like,
Yeah.
are we that simple that everyone's like, it's new and it's
Yeah.
big and corporate, so now I want it?
Yeah,
And it's like,
and it's just because it's new and shiny,
what
and
is
it's
happening?
right, and they have the money to buy
God.
the best lot right
Yeah.
next to the busiest sheets
Right.
on the busiest road in Mechanicsburg.
Right.
Like, but right down there, if you drive 5 minutes down the
Yeah.
road, Revolutionary Hot Sauce is right there, and they serve
Yeah.
an equally, if not better, chicken sandwich. And
Yep.
then, but when you spend $20 there,
Yep.
right, systematically $14 of
Right.
that is going to stay in the community. Whereas if you go to Dave's Hot Chicken, and don't kill me, Dave's Hot Chicken.
This
like,
is so funny.
I'm not trying to talk that much shit on Dave's Hot Chicken, but like all that money's getting shipped off to
Right.
a venture capital firm in
Right.
California.
Yep.
Some of it's staying here and it pay the local employees and pay
Right.
for the local taxes, but that's it.
Yeah.
None of it's staying here.
No, and that's the sad part, though. Do you see how many lines? And this is the other thing. It's not even practical for people. This is like a nice analogy for our whole society, as Dave's Hot Chicken. Is like everyone's in these lines. What the fuck are you thinking? You're wasting your life.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's a label? Because, well, I said it's good, so now I believe it's good. Now I want it. It's
Yeah.
like there's plenty of chicken sandwiches, guys. Like,
Yeah.
go to where it makes sense.
Yeah.
You're not even making sense for yourself.
Yeah.
You're waiting in this line.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense.
Yep.
Like, but that's what society will do. It's like,
Right.
that's a metaphor for school. It's a metaphor for 9 to 5s. It's a metaphor for everything.
Yeah.
Everyone will wait in these lines, spend their lifetime in lines, getting somewhere that the destination isn't even authentic.
Yeah.
So what are we all doing?
Yeah.
Eating Dave's hot chicken is what we're doing. That's
Yeah,
what we're all doing. Like, I just don't understand. Go get a chicken, for Christ's sakes. Make your own chicken sandwich. I don't know. Start there. Like, that's an idea.
Learn how to cook, you know?
Appreciate what you eat. I don't know. There's a lot of ideas. Like, it's just, I think the thread, possibly, and tell me what you think, too, of people that start their own businesses, it's like people that are not afraid to do the hard thing. Like, we're not afraid to go uphill. We're not afraid to go against the grain.
Yeah.
And there's something that's happened to all of us that has allowed the courage to become greater than the fear.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's an interesting topic, even to talk about, like, even with a group of entrepreneurs. I mean, I'd be interested to hear why is your courage stronger than the fear of making your life harder in order to have a purpose?
Yeah.
Like, that's an interesting.
Yeah. I'd say for most of us, it's like, it's kind of like, it can't get much worse here, so I might as well do it on my own. Like, it's where things are so bad where you're working in like a corporate job that you just fucking hate, or you have a boss that, I mean, is literally stepping on you to make themselves richer, that you're like, you finally break and you're like, fuck this, I can't do it anymore.
Right.
You know? I think that's where, I mean, that's how most of us end up here. And that's actually a pretty bad why.
Well,
it's a pretty bad why.
When I was listening to you, though, what's in there is integrity. So I think a lot of people maybe are at that spot where it's so bad. This is horrible. I'm miserable. My boss sucks. But the difference between you, me, other people is that we chose to say, I won't tolerate this.
Yes.
And there's a reason we wouldn't tolerate it.
Yeah.
And there's other people that will.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're even the only ones that got that miserable. I think there's so many people that are that miserable, but they'll tolerate it. And I'm interested in, like, what's the difference, I guess, in people that will or won't, right? Like, that's an interesting.
I think it comes down to vision.
Yeah, it's like an interesting thing.
Do you have the ability to look outside the tunnel vision that you have now and see a different vision? Right. Right, and see it to be done already. You know, watch Timmy stand up. It's like, stand your ass up. Yeah. But it's like, do you have the ability to have vision and look and see something already finished instead of looking at something and seeing like, holy shit, that's gonna take so much work. I'm gonna have to like learn how to do taxes. I'm gonna have to learn how to, you know, hire employees and do HR. It's like, no, your vision is already, all that stuff is already there. Right, you can see the end you can see the trees through the forest. Is that the saying?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
I know where you're going with it.
That sounded
Either
smarter.
Way.
Yeah. I was trying to sound smart there, but yeah, I think it starts with vision, right? That we all can see something that doesn't exist yet.
I just think it's so interesting how many people. Even if it was easy. So imagine, like, even if it was easy to have your own business. Yeah. I bet you there's, like, a decent percent of people that, given the opportunity, even if it was easy, wouldn't do it. And I think there's, like, something to that as well of people that enjoy following and enjoy being told what to do. Yeah. And people that can't tolerate it. Yeah. Because even if it was easy, I think about certain people, and I'm like, they want this. Like, some people want that. Sure. It's interesting. Like, people in general are just interesting. That's why I love
people are interesting. Yeah. You know, and I think there's roles for all of us in society. So interesting. You know, we all have a role. We all have a role to play, right? If the whole beehive was queen bees, like nothing would ever get done. Everybody would just sit around waiting for the honey to get brought to them. You know, like, you know, there's a good balance between, you know, not everybody should be business owners. Right.
Like, that's a good point.
Yeah, not everyone should be.
That's a good point.
You know, and it just takes, and a lot of business owners, people that already are business owners shouldn't be business owners. Right. And I'm not casting shade on anybody, but it's just like the amount of grit that it takes to get through it, and the determination. You know, like what's the statistic? Like, as far as roofing companies go, like 80% of them fail within the first 2 years. Like, only 2 people usually make it out of a 2-year mark, and then even it goes down to like, it goes up to 80% after like 10 years.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
Yeah, and that's with almost every business, right? Wow. I mean, more businesses fail than succeed.
Right, I do know that. I know, like, the first year is usually the roughest too.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it all just comes down to that vision. I think vision is such an important piece that a lot of us miss or don't realize that we even need to have.
Right.
You know?
Right. That's a really good point.
Yeah. Man, that was a deep question.
Yeah,
That was a deep.
I know, this is fun. We can just do this every
yeah,
week.
right. We just hang out here for the rest of the night and just talk and just turn the podcast off. I'll just talk to you for the rest of the night.
It's really helpful, honestly. Yeah. It's the light. Maybe it's the new light.
Yes. Check the new light.
Get a neon light.
Yeah, honestly, get a neon light and your thoughts will start like just flowing so much better.
It's really cool.
Yeah. All you gotta do is figure out this back wall and then we'll be good.
Yeah.
But thanks for dealing with my kind of
no problem at all.
half thrown together podcast.
I loved it,
here.
honestly. This is the whole vibe that I want. Like, I like imperfection. I like people that are real and authentic and not, structured and commercialized and all those things. Like, this is great. Yeah. This has been a real human experience. It's been wonderful.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about the human experience.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, this is that. Don't change that either.
No.
This is great. This is who you are, and you're present and you're listening, and you don't have a notepad, and you don't have structured questions.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it magical. It's that the chemistry and the process of it that makes it really cool.
Yeah, people have asked me, they're like, do you want to do, like, would you do a Zoom call? Mm-hmm. Like a couple guys, like I know roofing business owners and other business owners all over the U.S. and they're like, can we do a Zoom call? I'm like, I'm sorry, no.
Yeah.
I can't. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and riff off someone
right.
with the same energy that you and I are and that we have right now.
Right.
Or and this is to support local. Like, I'll even come to somebody. Like, I'll even come to, if you had a place of business. There's a girl we had to reschedule a couple times, but she owns Heart and Soul Books in Lingelstown, which is just, I think it's super cool to be trying to own a bookstore in 2024 when you have Amazon and Barnes and Noble just crushing you. But she's running she's crushing it.
That's amazing.
Right? I'm like, I want to come to you.
Yeah.
I don't even want to, don't leave your bookstore.
The books are probably cool.
Yeah, like, I want to come to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're missing so much in our everyday lives is just true interpersonal relationships with each other. Like, going out and having a face-to-face discussion, right? Instead of getting out of your car and walking in to go get the chicken sandwich, you sit in your car and listen to music and, you're playing on your phone while you're standing in the Chick-fil-A while you're waiting in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru, and then they just come to your window. Like, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to work for any relationship.
Right.
It all just comes to you,
yeah.
right? It's just service. Like, gone are the days that you have to get your ass out and go to Sheetz. You can just pull your car up and they come out and bring you your food. You don't have to go interact with anybody. And it scares me as to what it does. Not to get too like off topic here,
I
but
know.
like,
yeah.
It scares me of like what it's gonna do for, like what's it gonna do for humans?
I know.
In society, like.
I know.
I sent my kids in the other day. We went to Wrestler's Bagels down the road.
Oh, that's a great place.
And
I love it there.
I was like, I want you to order, like, and it's my cute little 7-year-old. I'm like, take the money. I want you to order. Like, talk to the man and order the food.
Oh, that's so cute.
Like, and she was scared shitless.
Yep.
Right, but she did it. God bless her. Like, she was pumped when she did it. She like turned. She's like, I'm like,
I did it.
Yeah, I'm like, this is what will never be replaced.
Right.
Until AI versions of Ashley and Charlie are sitting here talking to each other.
Yeah.
Like this won't ever be replaced.
It's terrifying.
And it's something that I would like. I'll die fighting for.
That's amazing.
Like maybe not die, but
hopefully live fighing for. Yeah. But I know what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it's just this is what brings me happiness. This is what fills my bucket. To use terminology that my kids use.
Yeah.
Like this is what fills my bucket and makes my heart feel happy. Is
right.
Interpersonal connections like that, and
that's what we're missing.
That's why small business.
Yeah, that's what we're missing, and that's why I'm so happy about this opportunity and just even talk about it again, because that's what I'm trying to bring to mental health awareness and to work with people is a humanized connection.
Yeah.
If you can't have a humanized connection, you will never heal.
Yep.
You're not safe. You're not going to be able to activate your parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah.
Trauma won't heal.
Yeah.
Because if you're not in a safe, humanized environment and sharing that with another person, it's not going to heal you.
Yeah.
So I think that's really powerful and it's important. And I think just in general, being imperfect and just being a human and being willing to be weird or, not having it all together, being honest about that.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Absolutely.
I really respect people that if they don't even have the answers, like, you know what, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, let me look into that.
Yeah.
Like, that's great.
That's the way.
I trust people that don't have all the answers.
Right.
I don't expect anyone to have all the answers.
Right.
And I'm very transparent about I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
I have a ton of stuff I'm working on, and I will always be working on, and that's part of the process of being human.
But we'll find the answers together.
Yeah.
Maybe, right? If I don't have the answer, I would love to find it with you.
Yeah. You got to be willing to admit when you don't have the answers or you are imperfect, and just be okay with doing that, because especially with children, like when you're around your kids, or I'm coaching the kids that I coach with field hockey, it's important for me to be vulnerable and be a human being.
Right.
Because if I'm not, and I'm too stoic, or, in an authority figured area of myself, and I come in with a power dynamic, that's not allowing them to have a good example either. I want them to know it's okay to be weird. I collect feathers. Like, I'm always like running around with feathers. Like, hey, yep, I don't give a shit. People think it's weird. Hey, guys. Like, like everyone else, it's like, what is she doing? I'm like, I don't give a shit what they think I'm doing. Like, it's okay to be weird.
Yeah.
It's okay to be different. It's okay to do what makes you happy, even if it's not popular.
Sure.
So I think that's really cool too, as a message to just keep passing as human beings. Like, be who the fuck you are.
Be weird. Be weird, everyone.
Be weirder. Dave's Hot Chicken, get weirder.
You're not weird enough,
You're not weird, Dave. You're just creepy. Don't be creepy. Be weird. There's a big difference.
Yeah, your weird chicken cartoon is not weird enough.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, this is so funny. I swear, if we end up somewhere on the news or a meme for Dave's Hot Chicken.
We receive a cease and desist from Dave's Hot Chicken.
Oh my God. Yeah, I bet you that would be so funny.
Again, it's nothing against Dave's Hot Chicken. It's just that's the idea to me. That's the not the Antichrist, but that's the one that's like, that's corporate America taking over, and that's what's putting small businesses out.
Yep.
The better helps of the bad. I would love to get this podcast to be big someday, and like maybe get people to like sponsor it, like local businesses to sponsor it. BetterHelp is not one of them though. Okay. Right? I don't know how many podcasts you listen to, but everybody's sponsored by.
I don't even know.
I listen to a ton of podcasts.
Okay.
BetterHelp is an online therapy. It's online therapy, right?
Oh, is that like it's like Talkspace?
Kind of. I think so. All I know is BetterHelp, and their shtick is like they have celebrities read ads for them, and it's hey, everyone needs therapy, which I agree. Everyone could use some therapy, whether we like it or not. But everyone could use some therapy. So we have this online therapy, and you can switch providers at any time for no additional cost. And it's like, what are you going to get from that?
Right.
If you're just like rummaging through people, you're never going to create a unique connection with somebody. You're never going to get vulnerable with someone if you're having to reintroduce yourself to somebody every time. So I was like, I hate that business model so much.
That doesn't even make sense.
No, I'm like, I hate that business model.
I don't even know how that is a thing. I mean, what would you even do? You'd have to re-explain who you are every single time?
I mean, there's probably notes. Crazy. Like, they brief the notes. So it's like, there's nothing authentic about it. And
it's quick fix, right? I mean, like, so essentially that's kind of what our society's getting to. It's quick fix. Yeah. Like, it's not actual deep work. It's, I'm in a crisis. How do we fix it? How do we Band-Aid it?
How do we,
And that's what you get.
Yep.
And a lot of people just have been conditioned to pay for Band-Aids.
Yep.
And they're covered in Band-Aids, and they're wondering why they feel like shit.
Yeah. Yeah, because your whole body's cut and you never you never got stitches.
Right. Like, it's just, I don't know. So that, it really does bother me too, because those things are very marketable.
Yeah.
And those places do great.
Yep.
Talkspace, better. And I've heard horrible things about Talkspace too. So I've heard all these things. I've kind of looked into a little bit. I don't even like to look into them, honestly, but I will look enough to know, okay, that's definitely something that I know is out there, and I'm not even worried about it.
Right.
I'm not even threatened by some of it, because it's just such garbage that I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So, I think people when they leave a service like that, they'd probably be more inclined to find a service like yours.
Yes. I have somebody right now that did try Talkspace, and they were even reluctant to try me.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of people that are reluctant, and that's okay. And I'll tell them, that's why I do a free consultation too. Like, I'm big with that stuff. Like,
of course.
I want you to be able to see if it's a fit for you.
Yeah.
If you like me, if I am honest and think I'm a good fit for you, I don't just take anybody. If I'm not a good fit, I will be transparent and tell you I don't think I'm a good fit.
Right.
So, I do that free consultation so that people can be reluctant and ask questions and not feel this pressure of, like, purchasing something.
Right.
But I do that because there are a lot of people that have been burnt, with BetterHelp, Talkspace, therapy, doctors, things like that, and they're just turned off. So you have to just let them have the platform and express why they're turned off. And
it's not so much that it's not that therapy works. It's that style of therapy doesn't work for you.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't write off therapy altogether. Just write off the way that people are delivering the therapy to you, possibly.
There's lots of weirdos like me out there that can do different things.
Yeah.
So you don't just need a one-size-fits-all.
Express your inner weirdo.
Yep.
Express that inner weirdo.
Yep. That's like a nice theme for this whole podcast.
Honestly, yeah. Like, I'm like picturing a thumbnail right now, and I'm like picturing like a Dave's Hot Chicken logo. Like,
oh my gosh, it's so funny.
Like the big red X on it.
It's amazing.
No, it's and actually, I'm pretty sure Dave's Hot Chicken is a franchise. So there's somebody locally that's benefiting from that, but they're paying franchise fees and shipping it
Right.
up.
Right.
Nothing against franchise owners. Nothing against them. But yeah, like I'm just picturing like.
Yep.
Like.
Get weirder.
Get weird.
Yep.
Embrace your inner weird.
Yep. Yep.
Well, do you want to wrap it up?
Sure.
You want to wrap it up, or
Yeah.
you want to keep on going?
We can do whatever you would like to do.
I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom if we're gonna keep on going.
Oh, we can do whatever. We can wrap it up. We can keep going. I mean, I love this. I'd love to come back. Like,
I know, man.
Whenever you need content.
I think we just start. Maybe I need you. I think I need some of your assistance to make my podcast studio
Oh, I can definitely get that done.
work and function a little better.
That would be so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so let's sign it off here because it's 5 o'clock now. I think we're going on like 2 hours.
Oh my
probably.
gosh.
Yeah, it's been 2 hours.
We talked for 2 hours.
2 hours. This is the longest podcast.
Holy crap.
Yeah, by double. I think my longest one ever was like an hour. But this is
crazy.
I feel like this is exactly what I needed. I hope this is something that you needed.
This was
and that
amazing.
you got something.
This was amazing.
Something good out of this.
Yeah.
So let's get a sign off here. Let's tell everyone who you are again.
Okay.
What's your business name? How can people contact you if they enjoyed our conversation? Can they book a free consultation with you? And the floor is yours, Ashley.
Okay. Well, hi again, everyone. After listening to us for 2 hours, I have my master's degree in mental health counseling, and my business name is Own Your Destiny Coaching, which is a life coaching company now. So I do mental health counseling, but it's undersold as life coaching because it's an empowering, unique process of finding yourself. And if you're interested, you can go to my website, ownyourdestinycoaching.org, or my Instagram, which is Own Your Destiny Coaching as well. Facebook is Own Your Destiny Coaching. YouTube is Own Your Destiny Coaching. And I can comment like contact information underneath the podcast or whatever as well.
Yes. Yeah. We'll link all your stuff in the links here. So anyone, if you want to get in touch with Ashley, she's amazing, super smart, just great conversationalist, best. I can't say that's because all my other guests, one of the best podcast guests.
Thanks. I'll take the label. That's the one label I like. I'll take that.
Take
That's
it.
Good.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. I'm Charlie Anderson. Peace.
Thank you. That was incredible.
I can't believe